ولبثوا في كهفهم 300 سنين وازدادوا 9. ولا تقولن لشيء إني فاعل ذلك غدا إلا أن يشاء الله. واذكر ربك إذا نسيت وقل عسى أن يهديني ربي لأقرب من هذا رشدا. واذكر ربك إذا نسيت وقل عسى أن يهديني ربي لأقرب من هذا رشدا. ولبثوا في كهفهم 300 سنين وازدادوا 9. ولبثوا في كهفهم 300 سنين وازدادوا 9. قل الله أعلم بما لبثوا له غيب السماوات والأرض أبصر به وأسمع. قل الله أعلم بما لبثوا له غيب السماوات والأرض أبصر به وأسمع. ما لهم من دونه من ولي ولا يشرك في حكمه أحدا. واتل ما أوحي إليك من كتاب ربك لكلمات أحدا واصبر واصبر نفسك مع الذين يدعون ربهم بالغداة والعشي يريدون وجهه ولا تعد عيناك عنهم تريد زينة الحياة الدنيا ولا تعد عيناك عنهم تريد زينة الحياة الدنيا ولا تطع من أغفلنا قلبه عن ذكرنا واتبع هواه وكان أمره فرطا وقل الحق من ربكم فمن شاء فليؤمن ومن شاء فليكفر وقل الحق من ربكم فمن شاء فليؤمن ومن شاء فليكفر إنا أعتدنا للظالمين نارا حاط بهم سرادقها وإن يستغيثوا يغاثوا بماء كالمهل يشوي الوجوه بئس الشراب وساءت مرتفقا وقل الحق من ربكم فمن شاء فليؤمن ومن شاء فليكفر أعتدنا بئس الشراب وساءت مرتفقا إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات إنا لا نضيع أجر من أحسن عملا إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات إنا لا نضيع أجر من أحسن عملا أولئك لهم جنات عدن تجري من تحتهم الأنهار يحلون فيها من أساور من ذهب ويلبسون ثيابا خضرا من سندس واستبرق يحلون فيها من أساور من ذهب ويلبسون ثيابا خضرا من سندس واستبرق متكئين فيها على الأرائك نعم الثواب وحسنت مرتفقا نعم الثواب وحسنت مرتفقا صدق الله العظيم.
تكبير تكبير تكبير.
Inshallah, I'm just going to invite Qari Ishaq just to tell us a little bit about our Qari. And indeed, what is very special, as you can see, Quran is the Kalamullah, and there are many people, like in the hearts of Africa, can only appreciate that Allah Ta'ala, when He gives His ni'mah blessing, He gives it to whomsoever He loves. So here is an example of beautiful recitation of the Holy Quran. But I would like Qari Ishaq to tell us a little more about our Qari.
Alhamdulillah, we're very fortunate to have Qayadullah with us, Alhamdulillah. Qayadullah is originally from Tanzania, and mashallah, he has an ijaza in not just the recitation of Hafs, but also in recitation of different, different dialects of the Quran, so you have different qira'ah, so to speak. Abdullah studied initially in Tanzania with hifz, and he spent 4 years in Yemen, where he mastered the art of the Quran, mashallah. Also, further, he went to Malaysia for 3 years. He was doing his education, and he studied some Quranic and Islamic sciences as well. And Abdullah has been in the UK for the last few years or so. I just want to touch upon one thing. Many of us are not aware of this, but in Tanzania, does anyone know how the children understand the Quran and how they learn the Quran by heart? So in this country we have, as you can see, many mushafs of the Quran. Quran is all around us. The ustad comes to the class, and all the ustad has is a piece of blackboard, and on that board with a chalk, he writes the verse of the Quran. He recites the verse of the Quran to the children. Wallahi, I've seen this with my own eyes. Mufti Abdul Rahman went there a few years ago, and he was telling me the story. Mufti Kamani as well from USA, he said the same story. The children there, they then repeat the verse from the ustad, and that's how they learn the Quran. Why? Because they are not rich enough to have even the mushaf's copies of the Quran. And how the children master the Quranic recitation. Qari Abdullah is one example. Qari Raja Ayyub, one of the prominent reciters of Tanzania. And you can ask Qari Abdullah, reciting Quran is not an easy feat. There's so much competition. We know in Egypt, but in Tanzania, mashallah, the amount of talent that is there. You go to one village in Tanzania, there will be over 100 Hufaz, mashallah. So this is how they learn the Quran. And the Shaykh said, it's the ni'mah of the Quran. Allah said in the Quran as well, Alhamdulillah alladhi hadana li hadha wa ma kunna linahtadi lawla an hadana Allah. Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu would say this frequently, that before Islam we were in the stage of Jahiliyyah, and Allah gives guidance to whomsoever He wants. Allah can misguide who He wants and guides who He wants. So the Quran, we have just over 30 days for Ramadan. The best way to practice and to rekindle love for Islam is by rekindling love of the Quran. Remember, if we want to develop a connection with Allah, we develop a connection with the Quran. So Qari Abdullah, mashallah, we are very fortunate for him to be here. May Allah bless him, may Allah elevate him, and may Allah increase the love of the Quran. He is truly one of the Ahlul Quran, and may Allah, inshallah, keep him from strength to strength, enable him to spread the word of the Quran throughout the world, inshallah.
So Jazakallah khairan to Qari Abdullah, may Allah reward him abundantly. And when you just invite Mufti Wasim Khan, and when you look for a Mufti, normally you see somebody very old, long white beard, somebody very elderly. He's going to come and be seated. And before he starts his talk also, Qari Ishaq will introduce him. But I'm going to invite the brother from Human Appeal to tell us just a few words, because obviously this event is not possible just to have an event, to have Qari, to have his guest speaker from all the way from Texas. Inshallah, Mufti, can you take the seat? So this is what I mean when you think of a Mufti, not always has to be very old. MashaAllah. This is what we say, Allah Ta'ala gives ilm and knowledge, young talent, and many, many examples of young Sahaba, mashallah, who excelled even in knowledge among the companions. So before Mufti Wasim Khan, all the way from USA, Texas speaks, Qari Ishaq will introduce also Human Appeal.
So Alhamdulillah, Mufti Wasim, mashallah, as you can see, is very young, mashallah. He's from USA originally. Mufti Wasim studied initially in Blackburn, Darul, and then he went to South Africa. He did his Alimiyya course in South Africa, and then thereafter he did the Iftar course as well. Mufti has traveled extensively in the Indian subcontinent, mashallah, places like Uzbekistan, Egypt, etc. He travels extensively around the USA to, mashallah, teach and to deliver lectures as well. We are very fortunate. He was here a few weeks ago, and mashallah, he's here for this long weekend. So we thank him from the bottom of our heart for accepting our invitation. We're very fortunate to have Mufti Wasim here as well, person of knowledge, mashallah, and who appeals to many youth out there, mashallah. Mufti Wasim spends a lot of time, mashallah, with the youth especially, and he really, really has a very good connection with them, mashallah. Also regarding Human Appeal, inshallah, so if I just call upon Brother Ibrahim to say a few words regarding Human Appeal, inshallah, then after that, inshallah, there will be opportunity to ask more in detail. But mashallah, Human Appeal have been on the ground for many years, mashallah, originally based in Manchester. They have offices around the UK, and mashallah, they work in many countries around the world. Human Appeal, mashallah, at the moment, this whole tour, the focus of the tour is in relation to the Syria emergency appeal. So again, I'd like to thank Human Appeal for sponsoring this tour, and Brother Ibrahim will just say a few words regarding the Syria emergency appeal, and then you can ask more information after Mufti Wasim's lecture, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To our brothers, Jazakumullah khair for your reply, and our sisters.
My video wasn't on for that.
Jazakallah khair. We have to have the kit. So today's fundraiser, or for me what I was meant to be sharing with you today was going to be about Syria. We've been doing a lot of work in Syria, raising a lot of money for Syria, because we felt that it's a place that's been forgotten. Now you might wonder, why am I saying it's been forgotten when it's probably always on the news, always on your social media? Forgotten because we start to feel a bit desensitized, and we start to feel like it's old and normal because it's been going on for 8 years this year. But coming here today, we changed our appeal that we're going to share with you, for the reason that for the past 3 to 4 days in Gaza, in Palestine, there have been severe attacks on the lives of our brothers and sisters. And we have an office on the ground, and we received the information back that there's a great need right now to help the hospitals and help the people have the aid that they need, so they can survive, so we can help those that are urgently in need right now in the hospitals, injured, those that need food, those that need clean water. So Human Appeal decided to launch an emergency campaign for the last few days to be able to respond to the needs of our brothers and sisters right now. Before I explain to you the situation there, my brothers, I'd like to first of all say that I'm very proud at moments like these when I get to fundraise and I get to share an appeal, because it shows that as Muslims, part of our belief and part of our communities, we feel that charity is a very important thing to us, and that helping our brothers and sisters in need is something so important that we make a time for it in programs like these. In programs where we're here to be educated and uplift our iman, we're also saying that we're not going to forget those that are in need, because the Prophet ﷺ told us that the believers in their example is of one body. And if part of the body aches or feels the pain, then the rest of the body responds. It has a fever, it's restless. And I always like to emphasize on the restlessness or the sleeplessness, because it's amazing that it could be the finger that might be unwell, it could be the eye that might be unwell, but the rest of the body responds, it feels it, it's in anxiety, it's in pain. And this is how we should be in our state as believers. We should feel the suffering of our brothers and sisters across the world. And today, I'm here to share with you the suffering of a people that have been suffering not for 3 years, not for 10 years or 20 years, for 70 years this year. And that's the place of Gaza. That is the area of Palestine, the third holiest site for us Muslims, our first Qibla that we used to pray to, that the Sahaba and the Prophet ﷺ used to pray to. Somewhere that's very important to us, both in our deen and both in being connected with the people that are there, our brothers and sisters. Now over there, it will make you cry and it will break your heart, my brothers, to know what their situation is. It's a place where over 90% of the water there is not usable, it's contaminated. This is something where young children or the elderly drink, and it can give them infection, it can give them disease. Over 90% of the water, my brothers. Imagine that. We have places in Africa that are suffering from droughts, and we build wells for them to have life in their communities, to have vegetation, to be able to have water that they can use. The people in Gaza are worse than that. The water is right there, but over 90% of it can't even be used. It's a place where the hospitals go for over 20 hours a day. Over 20 hours a day without electricity. Imagine a hospital. This isn't a home. This isn't where you need electricity to read the Quran or to see what you're cooking or to see where you're walking. This is a place where people come to be treated, to save lives, to be able to have surgery, to be able to receive treatment from doctors. This is where women come to give birth. And especially somewhere like Gaza, where when a crisis happens and our brothers and sisters are injured and are rushed to the hospitals, imagine the nurses and the doctors don't even have the light. They don't even have the electricity to be able to do their job, to treat our brothers and sisters that are injured, that are in pain, and some of them that are maybe relying on these doctors with the permission of Allah to save their lives. It's much worse than this, my brothers, but I don't have much time. So imagine you're living in this place, and the walls are so high, as high as the buildings you see outside, or even higher, and they're surrounding this entire area called Gaza. So then no one can leave and no one can come in. And the people living inside, our brothers and sisters, are caged in there. And sorry to say, but caged in there like animals. And anytime anyone decides to attack them or pick on them or take the lives of their children or their elderly, they do so. And anytime they decide to take their children and put them in detention centers, they do so. And they're helpless and hopeless, only relying on Allah. And the only way that's open for them to leave is the ocean. And the ocean goes on for miles and miles and miles. And if they try to leave, they'll drown, or they'll be stopped, or something bad will happen to them. I don't want to go into the details. And now add on top of this what we've been seeing for the past 4 days or 3 days. What we've been seeing is that missiles and shells are landing all across their homes. We're receiving pictures and news that you don't see on the news, you don't see on TV, you don't see on YouTube or social media. There is a woman who's crying out outside of her house, and her house right now isn't a building anymore. It's been flattened and it's become rubble because a missile landed there and it destroyed her entire home. And now her and her family have nowhere to go. Not only don't they have water, not only don't they have the hospitals that are working properly, not only are they trapped inside this massive wall, now their homes are being destroyed, the schools are being destroyed. And unfortunately, those that are injured and suffering and are in need are going to the hospitals, and the hospitals don't have clean water for their machines to even work. They don't have clean water to even clean the equipment that they need to deliver the surgeries with or deliver the help with. The hospitals there are 50%, they have 50% medical stock. They're meant to have 100%. These are things like IVs, the drips, that have the simple things that you need when you're rushed into the hospital, into an emergency, when a woman is giving birth, when someone is injured severely, they need an IV, they need a drip that has the basic minerals and salts to help the body function and work. They don't have these things. They don't have simple things like syringes. The hospitals don't have these things. I like to share a verse with you now, my brothers, before I ask you what we're here to do today. Because I'm not here to just tell you it's such a sad situation, it's such a disaster. I want to give you hope and ask you and show you how you can help to change their situation. And this is a verse that I feel connects us with what's happening over there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran shares with us a verse. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Allah shares with us, أم حسبتم أن تدخلوا الجنة ولما يأتكم مثل الذين خلوا من قبلكم مستهم البأساء والضراء وزلزلوا حتى يقول الرسول والذين آمنوا معه متى نصر الله إن نصر الله قريب. Allah tells us and addresses us, the believers, and asks, do you consider or do you believe that you will enter paradise without being tested like those who came before you were tested? They were afflicted with severe poverty and severe calamity until the very best from amongst them, until the ground from underneath their feet was shaken, and the best from amongst them, the Prophet of their time and those around him, cried out and asked, when is the help of Allah going to come? And Allah after that reassures us and replies that verily and undoubtedly the help of Allah is near. Today I share with you, my brothers, that our brothers and sisters in Gaza, Palestine, they've been afflicted with great poverty. They've been afflicted with great calamity. The ground from underneath their feet has been shaken and their hearts have been shaken. And the best amongst them, the best men, the best women and the best children are crying out, when is the help of Allah going to come? And I ask you today, my brothers, be the help of Allah that they're waiting for. Today, we're here to raise money for emergency packs. These emergency packs are getting families to have what they need, to have food, to have clean water, to have medicine in the hospitals, and respond to the emergency and the need that's there right now. So we can help those lives that might be lost, those brothers and sisters that might die, to help them not die by the permission of Allah. To help those women and children at the homes that don't have their husbands there to provide for them. To help them with food, to help them with rent. To help those orphan children that don't have their parents, and right now a crisis and a disaster and missiles are falling around them, and they're scared and they're anxious and they don't know what's happening, they're confused. To help them have someone to take care of them, to help them have shelter and food. Today, my brothers, we're raising money for emergency packs that cost £100. And we're looking for our first brother or sister that can commit to 5 emergency packs to help 5 families. That's £500. And we're looking for our first brother or sister right now that can commit to that, to put up their hand. Bismillah, we have our first brother. Takbir. Takbir. Jazakallah khair, brother. May Allah bless you and reward you. We're looking for our next brother. We're looking for 2 more brothers. Alhamdulillah, we have another brother here. Jazakallah khair, akhi. Takbir. This is something we should feel proud about and happy about, because what I'm saying is very sad, heartbreaking. But when these brothers put up their hands, or when the next person puts up their hand, we can feel happy and confident that there are lives that are going to be saved. We're looking for 1 more hand, inshallah, for £500, and we'll go down. Alhamdulillah, we have our next brother over there. Takbir. Jazakumullah khair, brothers. I'll move down now very quickly. We're looking for our next brother or sister that can commit to only 2 emergency packs. This is £200. Just 2 emergency packs to help 2 families. Alhamdulillah, we have our next brother here. Takbir, brothers. Jazakumullah khair. We're looking for 2 more brothers, inshallah, that can take on £200. Do we have 2 more brothers? Alhamdulillah, we have our next brother here. Takbir. Jazakumullah khair, brothers. Our last brother, alhamdulillah, we have our last brother over there for £200. We'll move down now to our last one, and we'll leave it there so we can continue with our program. I'd like to continue so we can enjoy our next talk and benefit from it, inshallah. And before I move down, I'd like to share with you that the Prophet ﷺ told us that the best of you are those who are of most benefit to mankind, my brothers. And this is mankind as a whole and in general. Now imagine you're of benefit to your brothers and sisters that are Muslims. Those who share La ilaha illallah with you, that believe in the same God, that believe in the same Prophet and follow the same man, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Those that will be united with, inshallah, with the permission of Allah, in Jannah. Those that are dying right now. we can do something to help them and to please Allah. We're looking now for those of us who can commit to £100 for one emergency pack. And we want to see a lot of brothers, inshallah. So we have our first brother there. We'd like 5 of these. Our second brother over here. We're looking for 3 more brothers, and then we're finished. Alhamdulillah, we have our third brother, and our fourth brother, and our fifth brother, and we're finished. Alhamdulillah. Brothers that have put up your hands, keep your hand up so Brother Mahbub can come to you with a form, and then we can finish. Brothers and sisters that haven't been able to participate, you're still very welcome to, at the end of the program, to come to the back and ask us any questions, to ask for forms. Those of you who want to do maybe £20 a month, £10 a month, or £5 a month, this is something that can help as well. It can get help, it's a small amount, but every month it can reach our brothers and sisters in Gaza, and it can still help them have clean water and food, inshallah. So this is an option for you as well. Jazakumullah khair for your time and your patience. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Yes, mashallah, may Allah Ta'ala accept Brother Ibrahim, Allah reward you abundantly. Just a reminder that whenever if you are giving, obviously you can clarify with the human appeal. If you are giving zakat, then obviously part of your zakat to be discharged. It has to be 100% where your money has to reach those people whom you are giving your zakat. So this is an amana that they are going to take responsibility of. So whomsoever is giving, just bear in mind that the people in Gaza, yes indeed, as was explained, definitely how much of news coverage do we receive? Not much, but there are people who are on the ground and they know what's happening. All we can do and pray that Allah Ta'ala accept. It is also allowed that whenever somebody is discharging their zakat, you are allowed to give it in advance. Like many people only give it in the month of Ramadan. When you are giving to the Masjid, that your intention should only be lillah. So zakat is not allowed to give for the building of the Masjid. That project is only for lillah funds. So therefore zakat is something that you have to do, you have to discharge, and Allah Ta'ala accept and reward you abundantly, inshallah. Mufti Wasim Khan is going to now commence his talk.
Is that Mahbub in there? Mahbub, I can hear you from here.
Sorry, Lucky.
When I said no disturbance, I meant front and back. So I will wait for you to enter, or I'll have one person sit there quietly and person enter. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. Amma ba'd. فقد قال الله تعالى عز وجل في القرآن المجيد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم كل نفس ذائقة الموت. وقال عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه كل يوم يقال مات فلان ومات فلان ولا بد من يوم يقال مات عمر بن الخطاب. There was a young man by the name of Haris Mirza from New York City. An alim, a mufti, a scholar. He was completely dedicated in his mother's khidmah and was by the side of his mother for years and years and years and years. About 2 weeks ago, I was doing tawaf in Mecca, and I get a message from him. The Mufti Wasim, can you please do dua for my mother? She is very, very sick. She's on her 3rd stage. She's getting dialysis. And can you do dua for her? So a few times we exchanged over the WhatsApp message, doing dua for her from the front of the Kaaba, and he was giving his gratitude. About 4 days ago, when I landed into the US from South Africa, I get a message that says, on this Saturday that just went, he complained of a headache. And as headaches would come, and they're normal for people to have headaches, he complained of a headache. But this headache was different was because it was causing his nose to bleed, and he began vomiting. They took him to the hospital. 24-year-old man, young man, 24 years old. And if you look at his face looks like that young boy right there. No facial hair on him, nothing. Very young face, baby face. They took him to the hospital, and they found out that he has a tumor in his head. While they are diagnosing the tumor and they're moving him from one bed to the next bed, the young man has a heart attack, and irreversible damage takes place to the brain. And this young man who is smiling and jolly and happy, and I will go on to some points of his life afterwards, but I just want you to feel the pain that I am feeling. जमआए अहबाब दर्द दिल कहले फिर इल्तिफाते दिले दोस्ता रहे ना रहे बरोज अजीज गनीमत फिक्र हक कर ले बदन में जान दहन में ज़बान रहे ना रहे. We have moments that we are sharing today. Maybe I may not get another chance. Let me pour my heart out in front of you today. As they are moving the beds, the young man gets a heart attack. Irreversible damage takes place to his mind, and now he is irresponsive to any stimuli. Like no response to any stimuli. That happened when? Saturday, about 5 days ago, 5-6 days ago. As I finished the program with Sheikh Suleiman Ghani, and we were leaving, or as the program was just ending, I got the message that the young man has become beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My dear respected brothers and sisters, كل يوم يقال مات فلان ومات فلان ولا بد من يوم يقال مات عمر بن الخطاب. Every day someone says someone has passed and someone has passed. Wallahi, the day will come when your name itself will be floating around the WhatsApp messages. يا واقف على قبري لا تتعجب عن أمري كنت مثلك بالأمس وغدا تكون مثلي. The poet says, "O you who stand at my grave, لا تتعجب عن أمري." Why are you surprised? كنت مثلك بالأمس. Yesterday I was like you. I thought that the world could not touch me. وغدا تكون مثلي. And tomorrow you'll be like me under the ground. For death is not racist, nor is it sexist, nor does it define an age. For every age and every gender and every religion and every person is fair game. إذا المنية أنشبت أظفارها ألفيت كل تميمة لا تنفع. The poet says, when I knew that death plunges its claws into someone, I knew that no doctor and no medicine could cure the person. The young man sitting in New York City, young man sitting in New York City, one of the greatest, best hospitals and best medical attention you can think of in the United States is being received. إِذَا الْمَنِيَّةُ أَنْشَبَتْ أَظْفَارُهَا أَلْفَيْتُ كُلَّ تَمِيمَةٍ لَا تَنْفَعُ. When Allah has decreed and Allah has written for you something, then nothing can turn the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala back. Imam Malik rahmatullah alayhi wanted to go for Hajj. But he was a person who did iltizam of Medina. He wanted to pass away in Medina and be buried in Jannatul Baqir. Who today has desire to get buried in Medina and live in Medina and pass away in Medina? I want to get retired here and there with good medical attention and this. They wanted to pass away in Medina so they could hear the echoes of the adhan of Madinatul Munawwara as their bodies are being brought to inside the ground and being buried next to 10,000 Sahaba Kiram Ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'in. So he wants to go for Hajj, but he doesn't know that if he goes for Hajj, he will pass away on their path or not. So he has a dream, and in there he sees Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is there and says, Ya Rasulullah, I want to go for Hajj, but when will I die? So the Prophet of Allah went like this. He woke up and he's perplexed. 5 days, 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 years, 5 months, 5 weeks. So he sends the question to Ibn Sirin, rahimahullah, who responds. He says, this is not 5 days or 5 weeks or 5 months or 5 years. This is khamsun la ya'lamuhunna illallah. These are those 5 things that no one knows but Allah, and your death only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. أذان المرء حين الطفل يأتي وتأخير الصلاة إلى الممات دليل أن محياه يسير كما بين الأذان إلى الصلاة. Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal rahmatullah alayhi says, when a child is born, what do you do in the right ear? Adhan. What do you do in the left ear? Iqama. Any salah? No salah is prayed. When a person passes away and salatul janazah is read, any adhan? Any iqama? So he says, Adhanul mar'i hina tiflu yati. The adhan and the iqama came when you were born. Wa ta'khiru salati ila al-mamati. The salah was delayed till your death. Dalilun anna mahyahu yasiru. To show you that this life is short. كما بين الآذان إلى الصلاة, just the way between salah and iqamah. I want to go through some of his accolades. Young man, not a very popular person. You can go Google his name, YouTube his name, and you're not going to find lectures and things about him. إن أغبط أولياء عندي خفيف الحال ذو حظ من الصلاة. The Prophet ﷺ says, you want to know who the best awliya of Allah are? The greatest. Aghbata. The one that you should be jealous of being like. Inna aghbata awliya. Allahu Akbar. Khafif al-hal. They don't have much. Not a lot of wealth. Not a lot of family. ذو حظ من الصلاة. But they're connected to Allah and they're always praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أطاعه في السر. They obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when no one is looking. وكان أحسن عبادة. And they worship Allah in the best way. They're connected to Allah behind closed doors. وكان غامضا في الناس. And in front of people, nobody knows them. لا يشار إليه بالأصابع. No one says this is Sheikh so-and-so, and this is brother so-and-so, and doctor so-and-so, and this is Essa, Wessa, double Pessa. No one says nothing. No one points any fingers. الذي لا يشار إليه. No one points towards them. And the Prophet ﷺ says, وَكَانَ رِزْقُهُ كَفَافًا. And they have just a little bit of wealth. فَصَبَرَ. And they have patience. The Prophet of Allah says, عَجِّلَتْ مَنِيَّتُهُ. And this unpopular person, young person, little wealth, little family, patient but connected to Allah, عَجِّلَتْ مَنِيَّتُهُ. Their death comes early to them. قَلَّتْ بَوَاكِيهِ وَقَلَّتْ رَاثُهُ. The Prophet of Allah says, these are people, few cry over them. وَقَلَّتْ رَاثُهُ. And few inheritors do they have. The young man, not married, no children, at the corner side of his mother. I was looking at our messages from 6 years ago, and the only thing the man is saying, Sheikh, dua for my mother. You are going for Hajj and Umrah, dua for my mother. Whatever you can do, dua for my mother. And imagine you are sitting next to your mother, and imagine what you are feeling, and hoping that Allah gives her more and more life, only to know that you won't be burying her, but she will be burying you. The ajib thing is that I was talking to one of his classmates, Mufti Nu'man, and he was mentioning to me, because he's in liaison with the family, and he was mentioning to me that the family is completely composed, that they're handling it incredibly well. They're handling it incredibly well. This young man's quality was, though he was an alim and a mufti, his quality was that no matter who the person was, if you were an alim of deen, he was the first one to message you. He wasn't like us, that people are messaging us and we're leaving them unread and saying, oh, we have so many. No. This young man was the one who messaged every single person, spoke to them, connected with them, did dua for them and asked for dua. Someone called me today before I was coming to your masjid and said, we heard you were close to him. I said, Bhai, it wasn't I was close to him. It was the kamal of that youngster. He was close to every person. He was the embodiment of the prophetic example that every person thought they were the closest to him. And every person thought that he's only messaging them. But when we started saying the message about his sickness, we saw hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, nay, thousands of messages and shares across the social media platform of people saying, yes, we saw his message and he mentioned me this time and he spoke to me. And I was listening that at his hospital, there was a half an hour line to get inside. For those who knew him well and those who shared a few moments with him, and some didn't know him at all, but there was a line outside the hospital for him. Outside the room, the hospital room for him. So now I want to focus on some qualities of his. So we can make the sadaqah jariyah, and he can get ajr for it, and we can do dua for him as well. Number one, dua. To give dua and to receive dua. The man's speech, if you go through his messages, anyone who's just dua. Dua is the most valuable thing. My father tells me, dua, you can get anything from anyone. People can give you a dinner. They can give you some hadiyah money. They can give you a car. They can buy you a plane ticket. But you know what thing is the most difficult for anyone? To do dua for you. People don't make dua for themselves. Where are they going to make dua for you? Learn to earn dua and learn to give dua. Because when you give dua, you earn dua. When I studied in Makkah Mukarramah for a very brief time, I studied in England and South Africa and New York. I studied in many places. I studied it with Desi shuyukh, with non-Desi shuyukh, with Arab shuyukh, different shuyukh. One thing I noticed about the Arab shuyukh was that they constantly gave dua. Constantly. May Allah make you successful. May Allah make it easy. May Allah bless you. It's easy to curse your children. It's easy to say negative to them. Give dua to them. The hadith of Sahih Muslim. In the end of Sahih Muslim, the Prophet ﷺ is going, and there's a caravan, and someone cursed their camel. The Prophet of Allah said, who did la'na to their camel? And a Sahabi said, Ya Rasulullah, the Prophet ﷺ, leave this mal'oon camel, for the mal'oon does not accompany us. And then the Prophet of Allah says, don't curse your families. And don't curse your children. And don't send la'na on yourselves or on your businesses. Later, there is a moment in the day when the angels say Ameen. And your dua that exists, may Allah make you like this, that Ameen happens. And guess who's suffering later on? You and I are suffering later on with our family and our children. Learn to say positive du'as. Learn to say words of shafqa and muhabba to your children and your family members. Number two. This was a person he was a scholar, and I know many of us, I'm in the same field as well, may Allah forgive us. And the only reason I'm live streaming this is because there are many people who want to hear a few thoughts and a few words about Mufti Haris Mirza rahimahullah. So that's the reason I'm live streaming this. He was a person who didn't seek fame in the dunya. One time the Prophet of Allah is sitting down and Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu comes. And Jibreel alayhi salam is there and says, Ya Rasulullah, Inna Allah yusallimu ala Abi Dharrin. Inna Allah yusallimu ala Abi Dharrin. Ya Rasulullah, Allah is sending salam to Abu Dharr. Whoa, Abu Dharr. We know the Abu Bakrs and the Umars and the Uthman and the Alis. And we know all, but Abu Dharr? So the Prophet of Allah says, does Allah really know and recognize Abu Dhar in that capacity, sending salam. And what does Jibreel say? Huwa ashhar fis sama min ad-dunya. Ya Rasulullah, the man is more popular in the heavens than he is in the dunya. He is more popular amongst the malaika. He is more popular amongst the celestial than he is in the dunya. Inna Allah idha ahabba abadan nada Jibreel. When Allah loves someone, Allah says, Jibreel, Jibreel, come here. Inni uhibbu falanan. I love so and so. Fa'ahibbuhu. You also love the man. You also love the woman as well. And Jibreel alayhi salam, yunadi al-malaika. He calls the malaika and he says, I love so and Allah loves so and so. Therefore I love so and so. And you must all love them as well. And the malaika everywhere. And there are billions and trillions of malaika. The Prophet of Allah says there isn't a space of 4 fingers in the heavens where there isn't a malaika doing sajda. And they all have love for this person. Then they come into the dunya and love of that person enters the heart of people. And love of that person enters the heart of people. Number 2. Now, there's a few things that I want to quickly go through this, inshallah. The man, though he was an alim, though he was a scholar, he loved the ulama. And one of the most difficult things, Shaykh Sulaiman knows this, the most difficult thing is to get one scholar to praise another scholar. That is the most difficult thing. That you try to tell us, Shaykh, how is that Shaykh? He's okay. How is it? You know, Maulana Madani rahmatullah used to say, maybe on the day of judgment, the flag of jealousy will be in the hands of ulama. Because there's so much jealousy and this and that. They said, Hassan al-Basri rahimahullah used to say, trust whatever the ulama say, besides what they say about one another. But this young man had ajib love for ulama. Whether you were a small alim or a big alim, his love for ulama and meeting ulama was remarkable. أحب الصالحين ولست منهم لعل الله يرزقني بهم صلاحا. I love the pious, but I'm not amongst them. Maybe my love will make me amongst them on the day of judgment. المرء مع من أحب. A person is with those who he loves. And this man's muhabbat was with the ulama. If you can't be an alim, at least love the ulama. If you are not from the category, at least have muhabbat and shafaqah for the ulama. My dear brother, inshallah, I will commence and finish off in 5 to 7 minutes. Just let me finish this, inshallah, without any that. Just 5 to 7 minutes, inshallah, I'll finish this off. The next thing about this young man was his good akhlaq, his character. Every person you meet, or any person who meets this person, will tell you one thing: the sweetest person you've met. The nicest and kindest. He wasn't like me that would say this and that. No. The man's akhlaq were far above mine. Though he was younger than me, but he is my role model. Though he was much younger than me, and you look at his face, it looks like a small child's face. SubhanAllah. Allah kept that innocence in that young man. Any person that meets, they would just, you never hear negative about them. I was going through our old messages, and he asked me about some question. I'm not going to go into the details of the question, but his response was just that no, basically he has love and muhabba for everyone and respect for every person, whether he agrees or disagrees with that person. He was a person who served his mother and did the khidmat of his mother. And he stayed by her side the entire time. Now, the ajib thing is that I was waiting for Heathrow, outside of Heathrow. I landed today. And as I am standing outside, I see this lady. She has a small daughter, and they sit outside, and she lights her cigarette, and she smokes. And her little girl is sitting next to her, and she's smoking. And I'm thinking to myself that this woman has time for a 5-minute, 10-minute cigarette, but doesn't have the time to converse with her daughter. And then it dawned on me, I said, SubhanAllah, we have time to check our WhatsApp messages, but not reach out to our family. We have time to smoke and do this and dessert and panchat and this and waste time, but we don't have time. I mean, imagine they have 5 minutes to blow away, but they don't have 1 minute to call and speak to the person next to them. علامات إعراض الله تعالى عن عبده اشتغاله بما لا يعنيه. Ghazali rahimahullah writes in أيها الولد, if you want to know if Allah is displeased with you, the alama, what is the sign of Allah's displeasure? اشتغاله بما لا يعنيه. Allah keeps you busy with useless things and makes you waste your time. I don't want to take too much of your time today. I ask you all with these final words. No one can guarantee anyone's life. Boy younger than me, same profession as me, in the same area as me. I spoke to him 2 weeks ago. Saturday he becomes sick, and before the next Jummah is a Salatul Janazah, meaning that when he prayed Jum'ah that day, it was the last Jum'ah destined for him. Ghazali rahimahullah used to say that be worryful of yourself and be wary of yourself, because you don't know if the cloth that is made for your kafan is already in the market or not. Maybe the cloth is bought and ready to just wrap us and we are unaware, herding this dunya and bringing this dunya together. وَهَلْ لَكَ إِلَّا مَا أَكَلْتَ فَأَفْنَيْتَ وَمَا لَبِسْتَ فَأَبْلَيْتَ وَمَا تَصَدَّقْتَ فَأَمْضَيْتَ. The Prophet of Allah said, there's only 3 things. What you eat, afnayt, it'll go away. Labist, what you wear, ablayt, it will get old and it'll get tattered. Tasaddaqta fa'ambayt, what you give for Allah, it remains. It stays. And the last point that I want to say, you know how we found the message, the information that he got sick and he was in a coma? How do you think we found the message? WhatsApp. But whose WhatsApp?
He's not sending messages. Him not sending messages.
He?
Him not sending messages.
What is it? Sorry.
Because he's not actually sending anything else.
No, the opposite. The message came from his own account. And for a second I was a bit confused that the man is messaging and saying there's no stimuli, but he just messaged. So I responded, I said, Mufti Sahib, I hope you're okay, this and that. And then he said, no, this is his brother. And I thought to myself that if a man in today's day can give his phone in the hands of someone else without a lock code being on there, and someone else can use it, it is probably one of the greatest signs of wali Allah in this day and age. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us a life, an ability to live a better private life than a public life. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make our last and final moments the best moments of our time. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this discussion and this ilm and whatever we spend and spoken sadaqah jariyah from Mufti Haris Mirza rahimahullah. And I advise and I suggest that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives on charities and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives on du'as. I ask that the food and these things, whatever charity you can do on behalf of this young man that has passed on, I donate the first £100 inshallah, and the rest I leave to your community to go and raise, and for may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give the ajr to him inshallah. Jazakallah khair wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Assalamu alaikum.